Hey, what's that movie where Kurt Russell infiltrates New York and then has to escape from New York?
Escape from New York?
Oh, yeah.
Haven't seen that in forever.
Welcome to Haven't Seen That in Forever, the podcast where we are remembering movies that have been forgotten. And today we're talking about the 1981 cult classic, Escape from New York.
Yay.
Oh, whoa, Ben, Nels.
Yes.
You're here. I've heard of you.
What?
I heard you were dead.
Only on the inside, Colin.
Yeah.
Hey,
This
listeners,
is,
looking for a fixer-upper in 1997 Manhattan? Too bad, because the rent might be medium high, but the survival rate's really low.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been a bad time to buy in
That should have
Manhattan.
been a tagline for the movie, honestly.
It really should have been. They missed an opportunity.
Oh, John Carpenter, Kurt Russell. This movie rules. I had a terrific time. When's the first time y'all saw this?
I was around 13, so probably around 2000. Ironically, 3 years after the dystopian future of 1997.
How'd you see it?
I think it was at a weekend at my dad's house. There was a little corner store near his place that rented VHS tapes in the back next to the deli. And it was just one singular wall of movies. And it wasn't like new releases like Blockbuster would have, but you could rent them for like $1. And I think that's when I first saw it.
Did they have a back room?
Not that
With,
I saw.
Like,
With the bead covering?
yeah, the bead.
No. This was like a grocery store.
Well, the question remains.
Not that I saw.
Just go past the milk and keep walking.
Nels, what about you? When did you first see this movie?
I first saw this movie about 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
I'm a newbie.
all righty. I remember I first saw this. This was my first John Carpenter film, and it left a big impact on me. I was probably around 16 or so. I think I was at a sleepover at a friend. Shout out Matthew Giel. I was at his house. Kind of the perfect age to discover this movie when you're like a young or like mid-teenager.
Mhm.
I thought it ruled. We were just hanging out. He brought it out, or our third party friend brought it out and said like, it's campy, it's silly, but I think it's a home run, and it sure was. So before we dive into this, I want to ask, when's the last time you were in New York City? Ben.
The last time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 2023?
You a big New Yorker?
No, I actually really hate it.
You dislike New
I
York?
really dislike New York. It's too big for me. It's too busy. It's too loud. I'm too old to enjoy New York now.
All things that they are, of course, very known for.
Yeah, and they're proud of it. I'm happy for them, but
Sure.
it is not a place for me. I don't
Nels.
enjoy it.
I have never been to New York City.
A never New Yorker.
Nope. It's never happened.
That's what they call him.
All right.
A never New Yorker.
I have family in New York, so I go pretty often, but I'd say I just go for the pizza because I just want to fold a giant, like, foot-long New York slice. All right, so we're going to be talking about 1981's Escape from New York, and to start us off, we're going to be talking about the background of how this movie got made with and action.
Cut! All right, that's it, cut. Cut! What the hell is wrong with that take?
So John Carpenter, obviously, you can't really mention this movie without thoroughly talking about him. He's not just the director. He's not just the writer. It's really his baby. He wrote this long before it came out, had this wonderful idea. He wanted to combine the fallout and circumstances surrounding the Watergate scandal and lack of faith in the government. Did y'all not know that?
No,
No.
but just
This doesn't make any sense with Watergate.
Well, no, because there's a lack of faith in the government and how the government's corrupt and authoritarian. A subject
the
that
hell
is-
you say.
Nothing's changed.
But it's been influenced too with movies with like truly ruthless protagonists against criminally overrun areas. And we're talking Charles Bronson, these urban jungle settings that are the backdrop of Death Wish 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or whatever it is. But Carpenter conceived this all the way back in the 70s. And I'll give you a description of the movie in a little bit here. But the basic premise is that crime has gotten so bad that Manhattan's a prison. And to talk about the background, that's not necessarily unheard of. So between the 60s and 70s and the 70s and 80s, crime in Manhattan did increase to about almost 200% between like 60 and 80. So for someone in the 80s to make this movie, or when he was writing it in the 70s, it's not unheard of. It's not unfathomable to say crime's getting insane. But he really just wanted an urban jungle.
Well, he got it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying about the crime rate. It makes sense to have a movie that touches on that maybe in a more socially aware way.
Oh, it's blind.
It's if that's the message it was trying to portray, I think it may have missed the mark.
So John Carpenter first really came to fame. He made Halloween in 1978. That was obviously very successful. And as a result, he was given $6 million to create this 1981 classic, Escape from New York. And he truly just went after it.
Yep.
He held nothing back.
No, he sure didn't. But he loved the idea of gangs overrunning an area. And have y'all seen other Carpenter work?
Yeah.
Most of it.
Vampires. Love that one.
Yeah. One of my favorites, Assault on Precinct 13.
Mm-hmm.
They do such a good job of treating humans as zombies or these inhumane mobs. And I think that's really captured here too. And combining that with this extreme dystopian setting of New York City, it pops for me. It's beautiful.
This is one of those situations where you hear a lot of people talk about like LA being a character of a movie.
Yeah.
The one I can think of most recently is Nightcrawler.
Is that the Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a city certainly can be a character in a movie and it can really play a huge part in it. But this one, just because it's really not filmed in New York.
Do y'all know where it is filmed?
Wasn't it like East St. Louis?
Yeah. And do you know why?
Because
It was cheaper.
Yeah.
Well, why was it cheap?
They didn't have to do a whole lot to dress it down.
There was a massive multi-block wide fire that devastated part of St. Louis. And so they asked, hey, while this area has not been reconstructed yet, while it's abandoned, can we give you pennies on the dollar to film in this desolate, dystopian looking area, post-apocalyptic look? And I mean, put yourself in the mayor of St. Louis's shoes. Yes.
Yeah, and I get that, but at the same time, like the New York the back views, the skylines, and all of that, it's all matte artwork.
Yeah,
and it's not particularly good.
Well, this is low budget. Even $6 million.
I understand
back then was.
But to when you have the name of the city in the title of the movie, I feel like the city should be more present. And this, to me, never, ever feels like we're in New York.
So this was filmed in 80, and it was a very rapid production. Given inflation, that it's just under 6 million, but that budget is just under 25 today. Can you imagine a $25 million movie today, though?
That's an indie movie.
Looking a tenth as good as this does. Now, I get that it doesn't look like New York at times, but the look of it, even if not New York, in my opinion, is great. It's urban, it's dreary, it's post-apocalyptic. Let alone, you can't get an actor for 25 million today. So it was mostly filmed there. The special effects and graphics were largely filmed using a miniature black painted city model. So they covered it in reflective tape under black light. And do you know whose job it was to do that particular job in those special effects?
Kurt Russell.
James Cameron.
Oh, wow.
Of Titanic and Avatar fame. Terminator fame. One of the greatest action movies of all time.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
A couple other interesting background facts. The name Snake Plissken is absurd, but it's not fake. John Carpenter's childhood friend was bullied by a man named, or by another kid, but like named Snake Plissken.
What is that kid doing now?
I think that he's probably working either as a corrections officer or he's being supervised by a corrections officer.
Is he in the post-apocalyptic 1997 New York? He's in the maximum security prison.
It's absolutely hilarious, and yet it's perfectly cynical for an anti-hero name. So kudos to Carpenter for using it. One other just background detail, the eye patch was Kurt Russell's idea entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So they started filming originally just a few days without it. And Kurt Russell is quoted as saying that no one has really used that since John Wayne in True Grit. And he really wanted it. And Carpenter immediately just was like, oh, absolutely, of course, I trust you. Because he wanted Snake Plissken to be played by Kurt Russell so badly. And it almost wasn't. We'll get to it in cast, but can you imagine anyone else other than Kurt Russell in this role?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I don't know if they'd have done it as well.
Yeah, because I think Kurt Russell is what carries this movie.
Allegedly, the studio wanted very particular to have, and this is all rumors, it's hard to prove any of these, but Chuck Norris or Clint Eastwood.
Oh my.
Both of which I think would have been completely flat and lost the plot.
Wasn't Clint Eastwood like 75 at that point?
I think Clint Eastwood's still 75 somehow. Or even Tommy Lee Jones, which doesn't make sense to me given the timeline because he wasn't famous at this point.
Yeah, he wasn't Tommy Lee Jones then.
But those are the rumors. Regardless, Carpenter personally fought extensively for Kurt, just a la Spielberg fighting for John Goodman in the Flintstones of our last week's episode. And it's hard to see otherwise. Also, Kurt Russell, does he have the best hair in the biz?
He did then for sure.
I mean, just unbelievable. He looks terrific.
It's man, I'm trying to picture any of those people in that role, and I don't see it. I don't see it.
No, not at all.
I keep thinking maybe Stallone.
Well,
Because he did Cobra, and Cobra's character in that movie's kind of similar.
Yeah.
And that same
a
wavelength.
sexier kind of like slick guy than a bruiser.
I don't think he would have done it as well as Russell, but he could have pulled it off.
Yeah, I could see that.
But Carpenter mostly wrote it himself, as he does most of his movies. And he also then did the score, which we'll talk about later. But before that, let's go into the marketing of this movie, which is a little interesting with Gimme, Gimme, Gimme.
I'm Ricky Bobby. If you don't chew Big Red, then you.
So I think first and foremost, the poster is a bit iconic. The Statue of Liberty, the head of it ripped off somehow and just placed in downtown New York. And it just simply says 1997. New York City is a walled maximum security prison. Breaking out is impossible. Breaking in is insane.
I have opinions on this poster.
Go for it.
So the first thing is, Statue of Liberty head. Look, I get you have to like New York, so let's put the head there. And I think this was after Planet of the Apes, where they had that big reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, well before Cloverfield, which I believe I read they borrowed.
That's got to be like 2003 or something,
Yeah,
right?
but this poster inspired that scene of the head rolling down.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yes.
The New York streets. But yeah, there's no Statue of Liberty anywhere like main focused in this movie.
Yeah.
It looks like it's painted. And if you look at the characters up front, you got Adrienne Barbeau who is running
Smoke show.
and shooting a gun off to the side, but not looking that way. She's looking forward. You have Kurt Russell with, I think the eye patch is on the wrong eye.
I believe it is. I believe that it is.
He's smiling, which I don't think he smiled once in the entire movie.
I thought it was always on his left, our right.
I think it's the other way around.
Okay.
I don't know.
We have the internet in front of us. We could easily look at it.
We could.
But he's also firing a gun to the side and at the ground, at nobody in particular, while just grinning.
Yeah.
What's he firing at? He's just firing a gun at the ground.
I mean, we talked about it in Salt. Sometimes these trained assassins don't know how to handle their weapons.
Somebody painted this. This looks like it's an AI image
Oh, well.
that somebody would, and this is the goofy shit that they would.
Does it
would
look
generate.
like AI
the
or does
original
AI look like it?
Yes.
Oh. High concept.
Well, so there's one other alternate poster. Have y'all seen that one?
I don't think
know
I've
if I
seen the
have.
alternate.
It is essentially a backdrop, just like the map of Manhattan.
Oh.
And
like radar.
it looks
around
like a radar is going around it.
Ah.
With Kurt Russell kind of a la Charlie's Angels holding up a gun against his body, like pointing up with the same tagline, 97, New York City, etc. Escape in, escape out. But I actually think that might be a slightly better plot poster. However, the main poster in my mind is absolutely iconic. I love the Statue of Liberty.
I did Mandela effect myself. The eye patch is correct.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it is on his left eye.
I like the one you just showed us better.
With the Manhattan and radar.
I like that better because I think that tells the story better than the Statue of Liberty head.
Yeah. Well, because also like Cloverfield, it makes sense.
Sure.
A giant kaiju ripped off or smacked the Statue of Liberty, probably thinking it was an enemy or something.
Right.
How did it become a prison? And the project management alone involved in coordinating that many cutters to get up there and lower it and then drag it or crane lift it miles down into Times Square.
Well, and we know she can handle walking around Manhattan. Ghostbusters 2, she did it.
Well, this is true. But did Escape from New York have supernatural elements helping it?
No.
Jury's out. We don't know for sure.
I mean, I would say no. I don't really remember seeing any part of it that I was like,
Well, this takes place in
interesting.
1997, and Ghostbusters 2 took place in contemporary time, 1989. So
we've figured it out.
the Ghostbusters weakened the structure of Lady Liberty.
So I think the trailer is pretty different than the poster.
Well,
The trailer.
Would you want to watch the movie based on this poster?
Yes,
Me too.
I would too.
definitely.
Would you want to watch it based on that trailer?
Yes,
Really?
definitely.
So
I-
man,
The trailer's not good, but first of all, it's got Kurt Russell. Second of all, it's an early 80s downtown New York flick starring, well, we'll get into the cast. Yes, easily.
Trailers back in the day weren't quite as
Cinematic.
yeah.
I'm aware.
So, but I noticed like they didn't mention any actors. Then when
No.
they didn't mention the cast, it's all sold on John Carpenter's name.
Yeah.
They mentioned him like 3 times. John Carpenter's Escape from New York. John
Right.
Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Which is probably more powerful today than it was in 81.
Probably. I didn't like the trailer. I thought it was too ambiguous. I thought it was almost nothing in it.
It put a lot of its chips on the
New York's a prison.
"Call me Snake"
Right.
kind of cool tagline. And it really loved the one rule: once you go in, you don't come back out. And then a few minutes later, some guys don't follow the rules. "Hey, Plissken, call me Snake." And you're like, okay.
Well, it's almost like leaning into too hard Mad Max and the Warriors, where it's like, hey, we know these were successful. Here's another one, but not going to tell you anything about it.
Mm,
And I understand you can have success making trailers with ambiguous information or little to no information, This one just felt like it needed a little bit more for me to have watched that in 1981 and been like, yeah, this looks good.
One of the things about the trailer that really bothers me is that it's a very action heavy trailer. And that's not necessarily the movie, but it has those action spots where it just shows a cut. And I would have seen the movie 10 out of 10 off of the poster, probably without seeing the name Carpenter or Russell. I would have seen the trailer 7 to 8 out of 10.
I think you bring up an interesting point that may come up in my criticisms.
Cool.
Well, perhaps we're about to get into it, because let's talk a little bit more about, you can't talk about a John Carpenter movie without talking about the score and the music. So we're going to go, that's my jam.
2, 3, 4.
So John Carpenter is known almost equally for his directorial success as he is his composition and scoring success. I don't like horror movies. You both know this. It took me until I was probably in my mid to late 20s to really even start watching them. But you could have asked me as a teenager or like a 10-year-old, do you know the Halloween song? Do you know like some famous licks that John Carpenter has done? And I would. You know that piano lick that's very subtle and quiet, but it's so offsetting. And this is another movie that doesn't have songs, but it has a score.
His music is very ubiquitous.
Yeah.
His compositions are ubiquitous. And, you know, we talked about this in the last episode of when we talked about the Flintstones being kind of a mainstream part of Americana. I would argue the same for John Carpenter, especially his music. The music for me is pretty good. I like the score. I like that it's synth driven. It makes sense because it's the 80s. It's pretty upbeat. It makes a lot of sense. It's not built around anything other than kind of pulsing electronic themes, which is pretty consistent with the film.
Yeah.
There's some bleak dystopian tones from time to time in the score itself, which kind of became a defining sound of the 80s when it came to sci-fi action type films. I don't really have anything to say negative about the score. On the scale of John Carpenter, it's kind of right in the middle.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not great.
It's by John Carpenter, but it's not a John Carpenter standout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I picked up some, I was like, oh, that sounds a little bit like Halloween.
There's a little bit in there. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, this sounds a little bit like Christine, which actually came out after this. So I guess Christine kind of
sounds like this,
borrowed from this. But, you know, he definitely has a sound and a vibe that is to John Carpenter. I also found the musical when you walks into the theater and they're doing that musical.
No,
Everyone's Coming to New York.
Oh, yes.
Was written specifically for the film.
For this.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I
I thought it was just a musical that was out there. But no, wrote it specifically, and it's a part of the soundtrack as well.
Didn't know that.
I think that Carpenter is a master at these stark dystopian, minimalistic, I guess probably the best word would be reduced tones that evoke not fear, but anxiety.
I think it's more dread.
Yes,
than anything.
that's a perfect word for it. It's essentially evoking such, I'm no longer scared that someone's going to, I mean, this isn't a slasher film. I'm never afraid that someone's going to pop out with a jump scare and stab you with a knife. Well, and yet the whole time I truly am, when he's doing his like very reduced vibrations alone can be powerful when those moments are going on, just and it lasts in other movies maybe 4 or 5 seconds. Carpenter will use it for 20.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I'm so nervous. I'm so filled with dread that I buy into the dystopian scene.
He's a master of creating emotions with sounds.
Yes.
And it doesn't even have to be a score. It doesn't have to be a song. It can, like you're talking about, just using natural vibrations and then amplifying it with an E or a C or something like that, and get it to raise it to a point where where you, the audience member, start to get uncomfortable or get nervous or get anxious.
Big time.
And I think he's a master at that.
Yeah, his filmography is all either horror or kind of this dystopian action kind of thing. I'd be interested to see him just once try and do like a happy-go-lucky score, and I want to know what his take on that would be.
We talked about that a couple episodes ago with directors and writers stepping out of that one-trick lane.
Yeah,
let's see if a composer can do it too.
It's not going to happen because he's in his zone. But
sure,
just once, I want to hear a Carpenter score and it be like, let him do the Flintstones, and let's see what that sounds like.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones.
As we mentioned last episode, we do not need another version of that song.
Yeah, that's very true. So another thing that stood out to me was just how slow and powerful that score is, to the point where I really wish I could have seen this in theaters. And even if it were re-released in theaters, and I think I've told both of y'all this, but I wear earplugs in theaters. They're erasures, so I can still get the full scale of music and dialogue. I just reduce the explosions and depth that nowadays I feel like a lot of movies are hyper-saturated with, where you'll barely hear dialogue and then you'll get an explosion blows you out of the water.
Yeah.
But this is a movie where I would desperately wish I could be in theaters and really experience that, because I think I'd be white knuckling. It's not a horror. It's not even a thriller, really. But I'd be white knuckling my seat a few times because the score is that evocative for me.
Interesting. Yep. I don't know that I had that big of a reaction to it. I definitely love Carpenter's themes.
Sure.
And I love his score in this movie. And it's just, like I said, to me, it kind of sits right in the middle of what he's done in his career.
Well, let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of this movie. We're going to go with, I got the part.
You hear me, New York? We're going to be on Broadway because I'm not giving up. I'm still here and I'm staying. You hear that, New York?
All right. So I'm going to read this description because I think it's truly incredible. The once great city of New York becomes the one maximum security prison for the entire country. A 50-foot containment wall is erected along the New Jersey shoreline, across the Harlem River, and down the Brooklyn shoreline. It completely surrounds Manhattan Island. All bridges and waterways are mined. The United States police force, like an army, is encamped around the island. There are no guards inside the prison. Only prisoners in the worlds that they have made. The rules are simple. Once you go in, you don't come out. So I just read that, but do you know who read it in the movie?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
No kidding.
Of Halloween fame and obviously working with Carpenter a lot.
I did not know that.
Yep.
So
I feel like I should have gotten that.
He likes to collaborate with people he's comfortable with,
Still,
as we'll learn as we go through this cast.
Yeah.
very loyal.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously 2 years after this, The Thing was made,
Yeah.
and Kurt Russell starring in that. But while we're talking about Kurt Russell, obviously it's hard to see this movie without Kurt Russell. And I said it last movie about the Flintstones too, but truly Kurt Russell is one of a kind.
So where he was at this point in his career, before this, he was kind of like a goody two shoes Disney.
He was a kid
guy,
actor,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
He was in a bunch of Disney stuff. So this was him trying to do a new, darker, grittier kind of role that he hadn't really done yet.
Yeah.
So this was like his big breakout into, like I said, The Thing is coming up, and then
Next year in 82.
Yeah. And then, he's off to the races after that. So this was really his kind of breakthrough into that mainstream, getting out of that Disney, that Disney phase that he was in.
According to sources, this is all alleged, but that's one of the big reasons that Carpenter demanded and fought for him, was that he saw something in Russell and he desperately wanted him to be the lead of this movie. So there's a good chance that he shows up again on this pod.
Oh yeah, we
But-
have to do the sequel to this eventually. So
Oh gosh. Spoiler alert, he escapes from somewhere else.
Escape from Orlando.
I'm actually looking forward to the sequel when we do that one.
But he obviously, to your point, Nels, was not a household name at this point. It wasn't until he did I think The Thing 1 year later was pretty big, but then it was like Big Trouble in Little China in 86.
Also Carpenter
Overboard in 87.
with his
Not Carpenter.
partner Goldie Hawn at that point.
Backdraft in 91. And yes, we will see.
Great movie.
Oh, yeah. And Stargate in 94. Tombstone
Tombstone
sorry,
in
in
there.
93. I forgot about that
I'm
one.
your Huckleberry.
That was Kilmer, but
Okay. It's still from the movie.
okay.
Still from the movie.
Talking about Kurt Russell.
Nelson.
Skin that smoke wagon. That's him. And real quick, before we even dive into it, I don't feel like I can wait with the plot to get to the Duke.
Do you mean one Isaac Hayes?
As a lifelong Memphian, I'd be remiss if I didn't say Isaac Hayes, R.I.P., he just rules. He's so good.
He's one of the bright spots of this movie for me.
He's smooth.
He is
That's a smooth man.
That's a smooth
From a mile away, if you see him or God forbid you hear him, I'm immediately intimidated. Like, holy shit. I feel emasculated.
The Cadillac with the chandeliers on it should be enough to.
It looks so, it's so stupid, but it looks so cool.
It's pretty stupid.
It's so cool, though.
It is. I mean, I'll give you it's cool, but
All
it's
right.
definitely stupid.
So let's dive into this.
It's not like there's a Pimp My Ride in.
Why not?
In Escape from New York Apocalypticville.
Why not?
Because the apocalypse.
Well, was Pimp My Ride, is that Exhibit?
Yes.
Yeah, well, Exhibit compared to Isaac Hayes is like comparing.
I'm not comparing Exhibit to Isaac Hayes. I'm saying there was no Pimp My Ride for him to do anything other than glue some chandeliers onto a Cadillac.
He's got the brain, who we'll introduce in a bit here. And the brain's pretty smart. All right, so it's 1988. Violent crime has risen by 400%.
That's a lot.
Manhattan is walled off, which I guess that makes sense.
Sure.
Do that anyway.
They turned it into a massive maximum security penitentiary. The worst criminals and a lot of social outcasts are kicked out there. And as we'll discuss a little bit later, other people just stay. Fast forward 9 years, it's 97. Air Force One, which for some reason was flying near the city. And I just got to be honest, like,
That's the dumbest thing.
why?
Why was it anywhere near there?
So the British president, the American president, played by Donald Pence, who is incredible in this movie. Pleasance, but for an inexcusable reason, and they never describe why.
He's British.
He sure has a British accent. It's hijacked and it crashes into the city. The president's taken hostage. At this point in time, the U.S. government is very authoritarian. It's a police state.
Wonder
So
what that's like.
honestly, well, that's one of my biggest things about this
have
movie.
to suspend disbelief very hard.
But it's way less intimidating than I could ever imagine a police state being by walking outside. It's crazy how they're like, the police run the country. And I'm like, yeah, they look pretty nice. And they're like, they're horrible. And they're like, okay.
We'll see.
So with the president out, and I know this makes absolutely no sense because the VP isn't in charge. At this point, Police Commissioner Falk is going to be in charge. And he is awesome. He's played by Lee Van Cleef.
Great name.
Spaghetti Western fame. He's been in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Red Dawn. No. Once Upon a Time in the West. Django. Terrific look. I think one of the things that stands out about this movie is that everyone looks great. They are memorable characters. You can picture their faces. So he's in charge of the police, and he decides there's only one shot that we can get the president back.
Just one.
It's not by sending in like SEAL Team 6. It's not by we have guards on every single exit. We're just going to raid the compound. We're going to bring in former war hero turned bank robber Snake Plissken.
That's right.
This is just I understand in movies you suspend disbelief for the betterment of your enjoying experience. This makes no sense. This makes zero sense.
So I think part of it, if I'm going to do a little bit of work for the movie, Snake Plissken is a hero and known to every single criminal. He is not just a war hero, but he's also one of the most famous criminals on the planet. He robbed the Federal Reserve twice, according to lore. Once successfully, and then once where he got caught. So when he goes into New York and everyone immediately recognizes him, I guess you could argue that, like, hey, there's a chance they let him go. Even if he can't infiltrate he infiltrated the Federal Reserve successfully. If he can't infiltrate New York, maybe he can get away with it because they're going to respect him and say, oh my God, Snake Plissken.
That's quite the risk.
I am doing work for the movie.
That is quite the risk if that's their thought process behind it. This to me is, I understand without this, you don't have the movie. So I'm not asking the movie to be different than what it is. I would have liked the movie to make more sense in their decision making, just because there's really there's not a substantial amount of explanation done by the members of the movie to say why this is the best plan.
So there is about 10 to 12 minute deleted scene to the intro of the movie that shows the Kansas City Fed Reserve robbery. Have y'all watched it?
No. Didn't know it existed.
So it's not great and it's slow. And I think part of the reason I hate it personally is that you cannot have someone who looks like Kurt Russell. He looks like a male model. He's gorgeous. If I were to see him on a subway, I'm doing a triple take and I'm pointing him out to everyone around me. I'm like, holy crap. Do you see that guy? And that's before you put him in a giant leather duster with an eye patch. And then you're like, well, obviously I'm only looking at you. But he robs the Federal Reserve with a partner. And they're going through the whole thing and they are trying to escape through the subway system and they get all the way to potentially San Francisco. I don't know how we explain that he got from Kansas City to San Francisco on a subway.
It's a very short train ride.
Yeah, of course. He does sleep in this scene. He goes to sleep while the other guy's just like holding up these, they look like credit cards, but they're like credits. And each credit is $1 billion or something.
Must be nice.
But that scene was meant to really introduce his charisma, his caring about his teammates and everything. It's not ideal, but it's a bit of an attempt.
I have a question for the group. When they're running, they introduce him and the Commissioner Hawk is kind of reading his resume. He introduces him as SD Plissken. We never do find out what the SD stands for. What do you think SD?
I assume Snake D.
Snake D Plissken.
Now, I have a theory. Have y'all seen his tattoo? Do you remember where it is?
No, I forgot what the eye patch was. Why would I know what the tattoo is?
I don't remember that.
The tattoo is on his lower abdomen.
And God, that's right.
It's of a snake.
It was,
and
not
you
good.
you don't see the head of the snake because it's going into his trousers. So I think you all hear what I'm saying.
Snake dick?
I'm just throwing it out there as a theory.
I was going to say like special delivery, but sure.
Same thing.
So
wait, is it Snake Richard Plissken then?
But he goes by D instead of R.
If your first name is Snake and you have the middle name of Richard, is, I don't know why, that's really funny to me.
So
you just imagine him at a graduation. Snake Richard Plissken. Yeah, that's me.
Even better if, like, certain graduations, they read your nickname in parentheses. So if it'd be like, Ben, the Shark Lord. Not that that's your nickname, but like if they were like,
it's going to be now.
Snake, the Dick Plissken. You're like, I'm sorry, I'm paying attention. Obviously, graduations are boring as hell, but I'm paying attention when they say
I need to see who it is that's walking across the stage right now.
And if it's Kurt Russell in an eye patch,
What?
I'm following him.
It was an interesting question. Thank you for leading us down that path.
Yes.
So basically, Police Commissioner Falk explains the president has been kidnapped. He is being held in the world's biggest penitentiary, and the gangs there also have hijacked apparently the cure to, or the solution to cold fusion.
Well, yeah.
And that's going to be America's gift to the world, but it's also propaganda to say how great America is. So they say, Snake, we need you to go into this unpenetrable city, rescue the president, get the tape, and come back out. At this point, the plot's a little weak, but I will say this. Did y'all catch and clock that scene where they have all of his gear laid out on a table? It was like throwing stars and a giant Mac 10 with a giant silencer on it and 2 extra clips.
What about it?
I just really miss movies in which they show the gear on a table, because a gearing up scene always sells me. That's we got a movie scene.
So then you really enjoy the opening credits for Eraser.
I do indeed, because if you
Very nice.
an old school like Bond movie where you're like, Bond, it's cute, yeah, and this is what you're going to be using today. It's a fake alligator. Not to spoil Eraser, because they do use fake alligators, but that's the director and producers, not the plot of the movie.
Oh, that's funny.
So he gears up. He flies a.
Did we mention he gets a full pardon if he accomplishes?
No,
this?
we did not.
We also haven't mentioned the ticking bomb.
Yeah, the explosive in the neck too.
That's a great point. And what does it do if he fails? Did y'all pick up on this? It doesn't just blow his head up.
No,
It doesn't. It just like blows up enough of his neck to kill him.
No, it severs his carotid artery.
Oh,
So
That'll do it.
somehow they created a bomb.
Bleed out internally.
Yes.
Wow.
It's brutal.
That is pretty brutal. And then he was hung next to Fred and Barney.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Lynched by the US government next to some cavemen from several thousand years ago. So he gears up, he stealth hang gliders in, lands on the World Trade Centers.
oh,
R.I.P.
And he has a transponder that tracks the president. So he finds this random guy with the transponder who's like, he's like, Mr. President. And the guy goes, oh, I thought I was the president.
now pause there again. Because first of all, it's in the back of like this theater where they're doing a musical. I guess this is the entertainment that they're.
Have you not seen a prison
Well,
production before?
That's where the escape
No.
pod landed.
Yes.
The escape pod landed in a theater.
We need to talk about that escape pod also.
But the vagabond who has the tracker, what is the other guy doing to him when Plissken walks in?
this is a good question.
He's
I
like
want-
hovering
I want
over him,
you
and
to
it
answer
looks
it.
like he's punching him in the head. But the other guy, when Snake throws that guy off of the vagabond guy, he didn't look like had just been punched in the head. He wasn't bleeding,
He was not.
so he was pounding something.
I want you to. I want
maybe
you-
a little bit of a Pulp Fiction scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nels, connect the dots, my friend.
I
Well,
think he connected something.
I already connected Snake Dick, so I'm
He was connecting.
in the
his.
zone now.
Ben, what you got him on the pod? The
Is that
escape
not
pod.
the goofiest looking thing you've ever seen?
It's not.
Oh, the egg pod?
Yes.
It's not that much worse than a Air Force One with Harry Ford.
Yes, it is, because it's red and has no window.
Well, do you prioritize getting a view and not
No.
being like
I
air sick?
kind of would like to know when I'm going to hit the ground.
It's like one of those eggs that comes out of the quarter machine and they just and it just fell
yeah.
out.
And you get
And
those like slappy.
You get a
like,
British
long
president for a
hands.
quarter.
British president. To me, it's the presidential nesting doll. That's
Yeah.
what it looks like. I
I thought it was bizarre too.
I I understand that you love this movie. I'm not trying to crap on it.
No. Please, this is a discussion.
There are things about it that just really, I don't know why it set me off, but the pod really, I didn't.
That would be a
about.
pod if they were like in a space shuttle.
Yeah, I
like.
could see that.
But that
I think also
it had no gliding ability, did it?
if you're
Yeah.
going to shoot the president out of the plane, and again, I'm doing a little work for the movie, but I can also see this in real life. You don't give a shit what it looks like. You don't
Probably
give a
not.
shit about comfort. You're just like, the only objective is to get you down as safe as possible.
But did it? Does
Well,
it have a
it-
parachute on it?
It worked. He's fine.
Well, it did work. How?
It did land in New York.
Oh, I'm not saying they aimed it well. But Donald Pleasance was fine when he landed, presumably.
It did land in the maximum security prison.
They hijacked it over New York.
That's true.
They probably knew it's just a shitty egg pod that'll just fall wherever the plane is over. So we'll just wait till he's over there.
But then again, if your goal is to kidnap the president and you know that the escape pod exists, wouldn't you do it in a place where it would be more easily accessible?
What, the pod?
Yeah.
But they knew the pod was just an egg that would just fall. It's not going to like fly off into, it's not like Mork from Ork.
You don't know that.
I mean, they should have done that.
Have you ever launched a pod from a plane?
Well, Nels, you were in. You can't talk about this anymore, right? Is your Secret Service statute of limitations over yet?
Yes,
Okay, then you have done this, right?
You know.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, watched over Clinton for
All
a couple
right,
years.
so
You know how to
no
aim.
big deal.
At this point, he is now trying to find the president because he knows that these random prisoners / bums that he found obviously aren't. And this is where Carpenter really dials it up in terms of his style. So out of nowhere, then, these kind of like zombie looking underground, possibly cannibalistic humanoids are coming out of the sewers, coming out of underground, the subway maybe, and they're starting to really surround him and ambush him. He starts running for his life, still knowing that he desperately needs to save the president. And insert cabbie.
Ernest Borgnine.
Ernest Borgnine.
Now
is like,
before we get to Cabby, he runs into the Chock-full nuts or Choco nuts
Yes.
yeah.
when meets that woman. Do you know who that woman was?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
No. Her name is Susan Hubley, who I don't know the name, but it was Kurt Russell's wife at the time.
Oh, no kidding.
Really?
That's
Yeah, because this was 2 or 3 years before him and Goldie Hawn got together.
And her name was Season Bubbly?
Susan Hubley.
Hubley.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's better, but
I know she.
Susan
I saw
Hubley.
I saw her name pop up in the opening credits. It was like one of those like a special appearance by.
Oh,
I don't know.
Season.
Susan
I went
Hubley.
from Season to Goldie,
Yeah, he likes those fun, interesting first names.
apparently. Okay.
So Cabby, played by Ernest Borgnine, is a character. I mean, Ernest Borgnine's a character actor.
Yeah.
But he's, Snake, I know you. And he loves his jazz music.
He
and he's
does.
like, hop in, it's no big deal. And then he lights a Molotov cocktail, throws it out of his secured roof at these cannibals,
Yes.
and they drive off. Our hero is rescued.
I would argue that Cabby is the most fun part of this movie.
Yes.
Did y'all ever hear that? I think it was on like freaking Fox News and Friends or something.
Yes, I did because I watched it religiously.
But it's a very famous clip of Ernest Borgnine on his 91st birthday on there. And the host is like, hey, so you look incredible. You look like you're like 61 or 71 or
Why
whatever.
am I worried about the answer to this question?
And he's like, what's your secret? And he goes, oh, I dare not tell. And he's like,
I know the answer to
okay,
this.
well, what is your secret? And he leans over, forgetting that he has a hot mic on his shirt. And he
He's
goes,
91.
I masturbate a lot.
You know, the only reason I know that is because Jason Bateman currently lives in Ernest Borgnine's old house, and Ernest Borgnine.
And he has a black light, and it's just
Oh no.
it's a white house.
No, Ernest Borgnine told Jason Bateman this particular aspect of his daily routine
No.
when he bought the house. And he has since, Bateman has since taken it onto their podcast and told the story on Smartless.
And Master Bateman, ...
Ah.
All right, so
We're going to have to mark this episode explicit.
at this point, Cabby says, I know where the president is. He's with the Duke. Snake says, who's the Duke? He runs the city. He's the biggest gang head honcho of all the head honchos of all the gangs. And so he says, well, how do I get to him? You got to go through the Brain. The Brain, played by Harry Dean Stanton, who's just a treasure. Harry Dean Stanton is incredible in my
Great
mind.
actor.
You got to go through the Brain to get to the Duke.
He'll pop up in Christine the year after this or 2 years.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Carpenter, yeah.
And he's been in so many other things at this point, too, like Alien. You the audience, might know him from Green Mile. He's also the dad in Red Dawn, if you remember.
He's great in the Green Mile.
Mm-hmm.
Avenge me in Red Dawn. So he's going to help Snake get into this to Duke's compound and rescue the president. And the Snake immediately recognizes the Brain when he gets there, and he hates him. It turns out the Brain gave Snake up and betrayed him and his team.
Dun, dun, dun.
At maybe a Denver robbery. Maybe I'm confusing that earlier. The actual robbery that he got caught at was Denver, and this one he did Kansas City. But
He's
regardless,
just really putting it down on the bank robberies west of the Mississippi.
specifically the Federal Reserve. He's robbed multiple Federal Reserves. So Fresno Bob got killed in that one, and the Brain sold him out. Snake's furious, but they come to
Fresno
terms.
Bob.
And he says, hey, the Duke is planning this massive escape. And he shows Snake where the president is, and he shows him where he's going to escape. He's going to use the president as hostage and escape on the 69th Street Bridge out of Brooklyn. So again, at this point, we kind of have that moment slightly where you're like, we got a movie, because you know he's going to have to get the president. You know where it's going to end on the bridge. You know that Isaac Hayes is going to have a big blowout. But, oh no, they get caught when trying to rescue him.
Oh no.
Kurt Russell gets shot in the leg with a crossbow.
Oh no.
Which leads to a very unfortunate and very long, prolonged limp the rest of the movie.
It's almost like it's a metaphor
But
for the movie.
he has a chance at freedom.
Limp at
And
the
how
finish
does he
line.
do that? He's going to wrestle to the death. Now, Nels, I really want to ask you about this, and I know you're ready for it.
Please
but
do.
Goodness.
an incredible cameo by Ox Baker, professional wrestler.
Yes.
Talk to us about this wrestling scene.
So Ox Baker, this was before WWE, then WWF was global. Back then, wrestling was all like territories. So there was no like global thing.
I did not know.
There was no WrestleMania, none of that. It was whatever was on your local TV.
It was when they were regional factions.
Yes.
I know it was big in Memphis.
Yeah. But Ox Baker was one of the big wrestling stars of the 60s and 70s in those territory days. And he would travel, and he was always the bad guy because you can tell he just looks like a big, mean bad guy.
He looks great.
Yeah. So that's who Ox Baker was. He had a big, long career in those territory days. And here, I got to be honest, this actually is probably my least favorite part of the movie.
Oh, really?
It's so poorly choreographed.
Yeah.
Like you can see just like he's just swinging the club at Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell's just, he's like swinging it where Kurt Russell's holding the trash can shield. It doesn't look like he's trying to hit him. He's just trying to hit where he's holding the shield to block it. And they do that like 5 times.
So there's a famous quote by Kurt Russell's stunt double who did a few of those scenes.
Yeah.
And then Ox Baker did all of his own stunts, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
And when Kurt's stunt double jumped out and was like, Kurt, you're up, he said, good luck, because he hits like a truck.
Yeah.
And he
He's a big
truly
dude.
was hitting
Yeah.
him.
And the reason this really stuck out to me is because I have seen They Live.
Oh,
with
yeah.
John Carpenter with Rowdy Roddy Piper.
They Live.
And there's a very long
The Maniac.
fight scene in an alley with him that is excellent. So I thought this was going to be excellent, and it wasn't. And I think maybe Carpenter learned his lesson here.
This was not good.
So, so he wins his freedom and is able to escape on his own, while simultaneously the Brain and the Brain's girlfriend, played by Adrienne Barbeau, Maggie, who is at the time John Carpenter's wife.
Yep.
Or maybe his girlfriend or something. But they were together.
married.
Okay. And she's also a very famous Broadway star. She was very
I thought you were
big.
just going to say broad. Yeah, she was in movies.
Famous
No.
broad.
So they rescue the president. They kill the Duke's like third or fourth hand man, the guy with the insane hair.
Yeah.
Rufio? What was his name?
Rufio.
I'm not far off.
Rufio.
Rubio. Romero. There it is. Okay.
Alfonso Romero.
I was not
Carlton.
far off. I wasn't far off.
So they're trying to escape. They get mobbed by this huge group. They're throwing Molotov cocktails. They're throwing nails. They're throwing bombs, everything at this car, but it's reinforced because the brain's smart. They're eventually getting to the 69th Street Bridge, which, by the way, it's covered in landmines.
Yeah.
But you know
Why
what?
wouldn't it be?
All they got to do is get to the wall, and the army will lift them up and
It's
rescue
not like the army
president.
has, helicopters or anything they could fly over and pick them up with.
Ben, are you using logic?
I know, it's stupid.
So
Shouldn't do that.
They'll throw Molotov cocktails at them. We've established this.
the
can't
Duke's
throw it that
chandelier mobile is chasing them down
They'll blind them with it. Turn it on bright.
Mobile.
downtown New York. Cabby is driving our crew at this point. Cabby, R.I.P., did not, rub one out that day, and he gets rubbed out on his own by a landmine.
Yep.
It's very unfortunate.
For him.
Yeah. But then our heroes decide that they're going to go on foot. They're still going to make it across the bridge. Poor Brain decides to start running. He steps on a landmine. Bam! He's out of there. He's out of the picture. Maggie then has one of the most brutal scenes in the entire movie where she's just gunning down the Duke's car chasing her, and she gets plowed through by that car. It's brutal. It's very suicidally gunning him down to try to do what she can. Ultimately, she doesn't stop him at all. So
I would also like to plow 1981 Adrian Barbeau.
Yeah, it's not that's a cold take. So
Keep it on track.
at this point, we have our three main characters, I guess. We have the president, we have the Duke, and we got Snake. The president and Snake are running to the wall. They make it there. The president is repelled up, but oh no, gunfire. Snake can't make it. The Duke's there. He's about to try to get up, but he gets gunned down. And before he gets killed, out of nowhere, dun dun dun, Donald Pleasance, in a moment of absolute insanity, because he's truly breaking at this point, guns down the Duke. And as he's screaming as Isaac Hayes out of his mind, he looks like he's literally having a mental breakdown. He's like, "You're the Duke. You're a number one.
I know, Al,
You're the Duke, aren't you? You're number."
I wanted to make the joke so bad that as he was gunning him down, just going, "Oh, you're taking a bullet, ain't you? Oh, you're taking a right, champ."
So
Oi, the United States of Britain would never succumb to someone like you, Duke.
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
So go ahead.
So I noticed the entire time that Pleasance was captured as the president, he's kind of like cowardice and sniveling, right? Like they're throwing where they're shooting at him, where they have him tied up, that scene, and they're
but he's
intentionally
wearing a
missing
wig?
him.
Yeah.
But he's like kind of like sniveling, "No, please don't hurt me."
Yeah, he's a whiner.
Yeah. And then they have him like dressed up in the blonde wig, like really emasculating him.
Do you think they only dressed him up as in the wig?
Oh, I don't know what else that they did with him, but
I feel like-
we'll jump to some conclusions. But
It
I feel
seemed like a train might have been run.
it might have. But it's not until he's free and clear and has a weapon
That he's tough.
Is he tough?
Well, yeah, he only really starts talking shit too after he's killed.
Yeah.
Or the Duke.
And
Yeah.
we'll kind of see what kind of person he is here in a couple of scenes. But
Yeah.
I picked up on that.
So now that there's only the two quote good guys end quote left, they bring up Snake 2, and he's jogging up. He has minutes left, seconds left on his gigantic.
Also, is anybody else surprised they actually brought Snake up? They had the president.
I wouldn't have
Snake
been.
had the tapes.
I wouldn't have been
true.
surprised if they hadn't.
Yeah.
Snake had the tape.
He did
I
have the
know.
tape. Maybe he knew that would be collateral.
Well, he
Well, he did, because in the car ride on the bridge, the president said, "Give me that." And he said no. And that's when, in a
Yeah.
second, we'll learn he made the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they bring him up, and he's about to get the, I guess, carotid artery explosion out of his neck, because it's not just an explosive, it's particularly that. And Falk at that point is like, give me the tape first. So he gives him the tape. He gets the bomb out of his neck. He's going. The president's getting makeup done, because rather than just actually have like, hey, we're going to be 30 minutes late or a day late, they are like, no, President, you got to talk right this instant. I'd be like, no, I just was kidnapped and abducted and tortured, and I believe maybe had a train ran. I'm not gonna do my speech right now. I'm gonna take my wig off, kill the Duke, and then like have a nice sleep and a shave. But they're like, you can't have stubble. Take his stubble off, and they're shaving him. He gets up and he's gonna play the cold fusion music,
and he shows no remorse for Cabby.
Oh no!
Or
he
brain.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, he's like, oh well, we'll give him a nice pat on the back.
He's a piece of crap.
And yet, in the greatest twist since we discovered salt, bum bum bum. Guess what? It's not the cold fusion tape. It's Cabby's favorite big baby band.
Yep.
It's jazz music. Cut to.
This is actually one of my favorite parts.
Snake Plissken pulling the reel out of the tape, and to our younger listeners, and old school tape can be very, 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 very easily destroyed by simply just
pulling the ribbon out.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you're done. And that's it. Credits roll while Snake's smoking a cig, pulling the tape out. That is 81's Escape from New York.
Now, he wasn't that far away after they found out the tape wasn't real. Did they not?
No, he was like on the military base.
Was he? I thought he was like still on the roof.
No, he was at the base.
Oh, okay.
I think.
But he couldn't have been more than a 3 or 4 minute walk.
I wouldn't.
That's what I meant. Like he wasn't far enough where
it
wasn't
far.
Just chase him down. Like, hey, where's real tape?
Give me that tape.
Give me that tape.
So let's talk about how this movie did. We're gonna go with "You Love Me, You Really Love Me."
8 Oscars, $400 million, and you saved Tug Stevens' career.
I couldn't have done it without you, Sloan.
Really?
No, dickhead, of course I could. A nutless monkey could do your job.
Well,
So this movie was both a critical and commercial success. And as I've mentioned many times, I hate measuring movies on money, but it did make over $25 million on a $6 million budget. So, I mean, if you're looking at fourfold.
Pretty good return.
I think that was just domestic too. I think it did over 50 total.
No, 25 is worldwide. What I have is worldwide 25.
But Kurt Russell was also hailed as a terrific action anti-hero. And I still think its influence on movies to date is very felt. Do y'all, we were talking about video games earlier. Have either of y'all ever played Metal Gear Solid?
No.
I'm aware of the character being, Snake.
His name is Solid Snake. He has an eye patch on his left or right eye, and he is named after Snake Plissken.
Maybe his middle eye.
His left and or right eye.
No, and our right.
Oh. That's a less funny joke.
As we discovered earlier, and we discussed, Cloverfield took that image of the decapitated Statue of Liberty, and it did, and we won't get into this because maybe it'll come up again, but it had a sequel. 1996's Escape from LA, 15 years later.
It had a sequel, and I hope we do it.
Oh, we will.
Good.
We'll get there.
But it overall did really well. It was considered a critical success. They said that the look of it was great. They thought the score was great, unsurprisingly, because it's Carpenter, and they thought that the actors were great. I think if I can give one thought on this before we get to final thoughts and rating, I would say part of the reason that this movie seems so campy and so cheesy is that so many movies in the last, and this is going to sound insane, but 35 years have copied a lot of elements from this. So those movies that are cheesy from 35 years, or in the last 35 years, are copying this original. And it's not original in all sense, but it is fantastic.
It still has a Rotten Tomato score of 86, which is, I would have would have guessed lower. Not much, but a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have the criticism that, it's low budget effects. It is campy. But, over time, this really has grown to be one of Carpenter's most influential works and probably one of the cult classics that he's helped bring to life. Whether you like it or not, you have to respect Carpenter and you have to respect what he did here.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about 80s movies that predict the future, show the future, are the computer graphics they show.
Yeah.
And it's still just like that neon green grid everywhere.
If you've ever seen...
Which Cameron did.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen a synth pad?
No.
That people use in like DJ booths?
With like the 9 buttons.
Yeah. And you program different sounds to it and you can make music that way.
Okay.
When I see a synth pad now, I see that like futuristic computer screen that all these movies had. Is like, all it is red, yellow, and green lights all over a board.
Yeah.
It means nothing, but it's all there.
All right. So let's rate this bad boy. Final thoughts and rating. On a scale of 1 to 5, call me Snake. Grunts. Ben, how do you rate Escape from New York?
I'm torn on this movie. There are some things that I really did enjoy, and there are some things I really, really hated. Particularly, I really hate Donald Pleasance's performance.
Oh, wow.
I really hate it. If he did something to hide the British, I would have not hated it as much as I do. I'm not always opposed to an anti-hero being the focal point of a movie, but I think there are some parts of Snake that they maybe could have left out, particularly him walking past a woman being assaulted by 3 men and just continuing on without even really having a second glance. It's when he's first dropped off and he's walking and he sees that. It's like, maybe we didn't need that part.
I mean, he's not a hero. He's an anti-hero.
I know. And I'm not saying that in real life an anti-hero wouldn't have done that, but maybe we didn't need that in the movie.
Yeah.
I love Cabby. I think Ernest Borgnine's character is the most fun part about this movie. I do think it's pretty slow. Because it was hyped and sold as an action movie, that's what I wanted to watch. I don't think we got that. There is action, and when the action's there, it's okay. But the action itself could have been a lot better, in my opinion. And the movie itself could have been a little bit more intentional with its time. I think there is a lot of dead time in this movie that's not used very well. And I forget the runtime.
1 hour 39.
Okay, realistically it could be 1 hour 19, and it would have been a better movie.
Okay, all right.
I think there's probably 15 or 20 minutes you could have cut out of this. That's just, there's no use for it. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. I'm gonna go with a solid 2.5.
Call me Snake.
Call me Snake grunts.
All right,
I already forgot about
it. Nels.
I'm with Ben a lot on this one. There's a lot of Snake kind of just walking around, establishing the environment.
Or slithering.
Yes.
Ooh.
Slithering. Ooh.
Salazar.
And you don't need more than a couple minutes of that. And you certainly don't need 15 minutes of that. I liked the scene where Hawk is recruiting him. Actually, that was my favorite scene, which is not even an action scene, but it's establishing the Snake character and everything like that. I probably mentioned that I did mention the gladiator battle was not my favorite by any stretch, so that would be the low point for me, and that's where it really kind of started to drag. Like, all right, let's get to the saving the president part.
And again, if those dragging moments were just cut out or shortened, I think it's a much better movie.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have matched with Ben 2.5. I'm Snake grunts. Giving it a bump for launching Kurt Russell's career.
Were we supposed to do an actual grunt or just say grunt?
I think he says it as a grunt.
No, I mean us.
I know. I think he says it as a grunt. So if you could say it as a grunt with his voice,
do you want me to say it 2.5 times?
as a like a whisper grunt?
Grunt.
No, call me Snake.
Call me Snake.
See, that's perfect. Hit me with it.
Call me Snake.
Now we got Isaac Hayes doing the voice of...
That was much better Isaac Hayes than I could do.
Call me Snake.
All right, so I'm going to be pretty different than y'all, but that's because I'm a bit biased on this movie. I saw it again. It was one of my favorite movies when I first saw it when I was like 16, and I immediately watched all of John Carpenter's shit. I thought that was absolutely incredible. I think that it not just holds a special place in my heart, but it clearly holds a cult classic place in a lot of people's hearts. I think it stands the test of time. It's not supposed to look polished and clean. I think it looks rough and dystopian in the way that it should. I think that the scenes are unnerving and anxiety producing in the way that they should be. I really enjoy this movie. It's campy, it's cheesy, but in part, again, I think it's because movies reference this all the time and those movies seem cheesy. So I'm going to be drastically higher than y'all, and I'm going to say that this is potentially tied for, if not my favorite Carpenter film. I'm going to go 4.5. Call me Snake. Grunts.
I love it.
All right. Well,
one quick thing.
yeah.
We're not doing this movie just yet, but when we get to it, the sequel to this, Escape from LA, I think is the movie this should have been.
Looking forward to it.
I will tell you how I disagree when we get there.
Sounds good.
Did y'all know that they were originally going to do a third?
What are they going to escape from this time? Toronto?
Not even joking.
Escape from Earth?
Yes. Well, but that's for another episode in the future. So thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
Check out our socials.
Yeah.
H Stiff podcast. I'm still learning this.
You'll get it.
On Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and Gmail.
Yep.
So
stiffpodcast@gmail.com.
Suggest your favorite forgotten
Please.
movies and your worst forgotten movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you love Escape from LA? Let's hear. Do you love Escape from New York? Do you do a good I am Snake grunt or call me Snake grunt?
And regardless, thanks for listening. Tune in next time for more movies that make you say, haven't seen that in forever.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.